Welcome back to Tipton Bros. Today, we'll be discussing the German Anti-Partisan badge. Before we begin, I must disclose that I am no expert and never claimed to be. Now, let's get into it. By early 1942, Nazi Germany had a firm grasp on Europe. Sweeping advances in all directions left countries such as Poland, Czechoslovakia, and France with seldom time to react. Through occupation and the establishment of puppet states, Europe was now under the oppressive boot of the Third Reich. Instantly, insurrectionary groups began to materialize, carrying out guerrilla warfare behind German lines across the board. As the war progressed, partisans grew in strength, becoming a thorn in the side of Nazi Germany, which sapped valuable resources, slowed supply routes, and inflicted numerous casualties. The Heer was shouldered with the responsibility of fighting this invisible enemy. Striking without warning and slinking back into the local population, the Germans would retaliate against civilians, guilty or not, as it was impossible to distinguish. While the army was entrusted with anti-partisan operations, the Wehrmacht was hindered by these guerrilla fighters as a whole, and command soon shifted to the Waffen-SS in October of 1942. In June of 1943, SS Obergruppenführer Erich Bock-Zelewski was appointed head of Nazi security warfare. This is commonly referred to as Bundenbekämpfung. Essentially, Bock-Zelewski was tasked with silencing resistance behind German lines by any means necessary, often through severe brutality. These individuals, labeled criminals and bandits by the Third Reich, would engage in bitter skirmishes with German forces, frequently to the death, as capture guaranteed the same outcome by hanging or firing squad. To recognize German soldiers for fighting these armed insurrectionists with unwavering bravery, the Anti-Partisans badge was instituted by Adolf Hitler, January 30th, 1944. You may also see this award described as the Guerrilla and Bandit Warfare Badge. The focal point of the design is centered around a vertical sword, whose crossguard bears a sun-wheel swastika. The blade points downward and is superimposed by a skull and crossbones at its base. Wrapped around the blade, which symbolizes the Third Reich, is a five-headed hydra, an immortal creature from Greek mythology. As the tale goes, for every one head cut from the hydra, two more would grow in its place. This unkillable monster represents the constant partisan presence. The badge is completed by a wreath of oak leaves, a popular image of German military prowess. It was awarded in three classes: bronze, silver, and gold. Conditions of attribution were set by Heinrich Himmler. Ground combat personnel had to amass 20 combat days against these so-called gangs for bronze, 50 combat days for silver, and 100 days in combat for gold. The Luftwaffe had separate criteria, counting any operational flight in support of anti-partisan ground personnel. 35 flights to earn bronze, 75 for silver, and 100 flights in support of anti-partisan activity for gold. If the aircraft was downed in combat, the sortie counted as 3 flights toward the respective medal class. The anti-partisan badge was constructed out of zinc by various manufacturers, most notably C.E. Juncker of Berlin. Produced in two forms, solid and semi-hollow. The semi-hollow variation seems to be more prevalent. The catch and pin vary widely by example, going from narrow to flat, as with many German awards. The anti-partisan badge was presented in a pine green box with a velvet lid and tucked satin lining. It was rarely worn, as to possess such a medal could make the soldier in question a target when captured. They are exceedingly rare today and cost between $2,000 and $6,000 depending on the class. These badges are regularly counterfeit, so please do your research. I hope you've enjoyed today's brief overview of the German Anti-Partisan badge. We are a small channel, so a like is greatly appreciated, and recommendations are always welcome. Again, I am no expert and never claim to be. Until next time on Tipton Bros.